Hi, my name's Glenn, and I'd like to give you a few ideas about how to use collaborative tools with your students. To give you a bit of background, I've been teaching for over 10 years now, and maths is my major subject area, but like a lot of us, I've had to learn to teach different subjects, so I think these ideas could be applied in lots of subjects as well. In my opinion, the secret is to include online collaboration as part of your standard class routine. I think the routine should start with you being the expert, and then you could transition to become a facilitator as the lesson progresses. This is known as a gradual release of control, which is great because it makes the assumption that we had control over the class in the first place. I'll just jump up now and give you a few ideas and show you exactly what I mean by gradually releasing control. I suggest you use a fairly simple routine. So start with an anticipatory set. So some sort of starting activity which is going to engage students in the lesson. Following that, you need to teach the new content, skills and procedures. Now, at this stage you're the expert, so you really need to model and guide the students through this phase. Then give them an opportunity to practice independently. So nothing revolutionary about this, alright, just a starter with some new skills and some independent practice time. At this point though, we might cross our fingers and hope the bell's going to go and that's it. Alright, and the students are probably doing the same. But really this is the opportunity now to move up Bloom's taxonomy and get the students working online and collaborating. Now you as a teacher transition at this point from expert up here to facilitator. And your role is to pre-prepare a higher order thinking task, and once the students are online and collaborating, you need to be just working your way around, checking how students are going and answering any questions. But they're answering questions amongst themselves because they are collaborating. Right, so that's a fairly simple routine that I suggest you use. Transition from expert to facilitator. And I'll actually take you inside an online space as an example now, so just have a look at this. Okay, we're having a look inside a wiki, and you might like to set one up in a similar way. What the students do is they know that when they go online, they need to go straight to the wiki, and a task will be sitting there waiting for them. Okay, so task 1. Open the document below. They click the link there, open the document. It could be any type of file really. In this case, I've typed up a document for them, and it's a question based on the skills and content that I taught to the students earlier in the session. So they're applying that new knowledge now. And in this case, they're actually asked to make a decision and then justify that decision. So it's that type of higher order thinking, but it could be any type of higher order thinking task. So they have a go at the question themselves. That's the first thing they do. The second thing they do is open a solution. So the way I thought they might do it. So they open that solution, have a look at it, and compare what they did to what I thought they would do. And they may learn from that, or they might find that they did exactly the same as me, or depending on the nature of the question, if it's open or closed. Sometimes particularly if it's an open question, they may have used a different method and come up with a different solution entirely, and it could be a good one. And that's really the purpose of the wiki. Part C here, the third part of the task, is to add a comment if you've done something different or had a different solution. Or if you didn't do that, you need to check the comments and perhaps learn from your classmates. So they go down and click comments, and they just write in here what they did. Okay, so if they did something different, they can type it in, different method, different solution, and all the students need to read those, and in this way we're learning from each other. Okay, the next thing for the students to do is to complete a blog entry, and this might happen each session, or perhaps once a week, or something like that. And what I've set up for students is a private blog for each of them. And what that means is that I can see it, and the student can see it, but they can't go and see each other's. And the reasoning behind that is that it's the student's own work. So they're not sharing this, it's the student's own work. And what it does is really collect a lot of evidence for me and the student to see and actually show what they can do. I put the instructions at the bottom of the wiki just so everything's tied together. But essentially it's just building a portfolio of evidence for me, and I actually call it a portfolio. I think it sounds better than a private blog and really indicates exactly what it is. Here's an example. Here's what one student's done. He's done an excellent job here. And just as I scroll down, you can see it's a mixture of text and pictures that he's uploaded and so on. Okay, and what it allows me to do is to discuss the progress, the progress with the student, how they're going. And if they're going well, that's great, or if not, I can address that. It's also great for around reporting time. I can check how they're going. And also parent-teacher night, I can show a parent, how their child's going. Right, this guy's obviously done really well. The activities that students can do, there's lots of different types. Some that I'm doing, things like do a similar question to the one we just did, right, something as simple as that. Or sometimes I deliberately make mistakes in a solution. They've got to correct those and improve it. Or even in this example here, actually creating their own question, which is similar to the one above. I give them some ideas, but they create their own and solve it. I think that's showing a high level of understanding, I suppose, if they can create a question themselves and solve it. And what that really does is it gives me a lot of options, as well as checking the student's progress. I can actually create revision questions quite easily from those questions that they may have created. And even the next session, students can get some recognition. I might have selected one or two of the better questions and put them up on the board ready for the students to come in. It might be a fairly interesting way of starting the lesson. Obviously, sometimes I can't get the students to complete all this in a particular session in class. But obviously having this available makes it possible for students to do this online for homework. And they can do that in their own time and finish things off and have it ready for the next session. And if I had the opportunity, I might have even actually had the chance to check that they have done their homework before they even enter the room. I already know. All right, but that's what I'm using there with the private blog, and I call it a portfolio. Okay, one last idea that you might like to use with your students is, instead of always using text or like Word documents for your solutions, or even the ideas when you want them to create questions, is to, instead of that, use multimedia. And a quick, cheap way of doing that is by using a LiveScribe pen and creating a pencast. It's a great way of modeling your thinking out loud to the students, so they can really learn from what you're doing. In this example here, instead of be fine to do it myself, I actually organised a couple of really quite bright students in the age level above the group that I was teaching to do it for them, just so they had someone of a similar age.
Which is 1.2 meters plus 0.9 meters, which equals 2.
Okay, so you're going to see a little bit more about that as your instructor gets to showing you how to use a LiveScribe pen. Okay, I hope that's given you some ideas and perhaps a structure on how you might include online collaboration in your classroom. I think probably 18 months ago I thought a wiki was a brand new ice block. So I do understand that there's a fair bit of new learning for you to occur here and some experimentation. But I really think it is going to be valuable for you and your students. The quality of learning in your classroom should really increase due to this. So give it a go and be persistent with it. And I think the students will adapt to the new routine. Come up with ideas yourself as well. This is just a start perhaps for you, but feel free to experiment and come up with new ideas yourself. And finally, good luck in the project. I think it's really worthwhile.